powder dry, folks. Well, good evening, everybody. How we doing tonight?
Good.
Good. How you guys doing?
Vance is alive.
He's back. Glad to have you back.
The China virus did not kill me.
Wait, I tell you right now, get ready. Bird flu's coming.
I'm sure we're going to see all kinds of stuff in the next 6 months.
Don't kiss no birds.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, good evening, everybody that's tuning in. Everyone's still coming on board here, watching that number tick up, so that's nice to see. Welcome to our Rumble people over there. Hey, Eric, good to see you. I also see Brian's on again. He says, good evening, fellow MVs. And yes, same here. We're glad to have you along. Hey, look at Twitch. Twitch has one over there. How about that, huh? Krampus Brenner, good evening. And Waylon, good to have you on as well. And I heard Chris Brownell was on last night, so pretty happy to see Chris joined us. But before we get going, we need to start the show out like we do every single time. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Our Second Amendment of the United States. And in the state that I've been of the Union that I've been seeing, we're seeing every single right being eroded. And there's one thing keeping them from taking over completely, and that is the Second Amendment, right?
That's right.
So anyway, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, let's just dive into this. We had U.S. Congressman candidate for North Dakota, Rick Becker, on last night. I was going great till I got axed, and I found out that Starlink decided to do a huge update to their system, and everybody lost service, and I had nothing here. So thank you, Mike, for jumping in there with Jamie. You guys did fine. I watched it later today, and I thought it was a great show. I really did. I mean, what do you think? I know you're not North Dakota, but thought it was a pretty good, informative.
Yeah, it worked out pretty
episode.
well, and he had a lot of great things to say, and it was pretty good. I mean, we asked him some good questions, and like I said, we tried to keep it to the Second Amendment, but it worked well, and we went, and I thought that I watched the whole thing before I came on after Starlink busted out on you, but this is how I feel. This is when with sending Becker back to the halls of power, this should be what happens.
You have failed me for the last time.
Yeah. So there you go. I think he did good. So yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, I always find the gimmicky stuff. There we go.
Maybe you got too much time on your hands.
Yeah, I got something. I don't know. I don't sleep enough or something like that. But yeah, it was a good show last night. It was some good answers. We had some people that were asking some questions that were a little out there, but that's going to happen. And and we were trying to stick to the Second Amendment. We do go off a little bit on some stuff. Some guys tried to go off on some climate change stuff. Other guys went off on some conspiracy theories. But hey, I mean, if you don't have one conspiracy theory in your life, I mean, you're probably living a boring life. So,
Yeah. What are you doing with your time if you're not reading conspiracy theories?
I mean, I don't believe most of them, but there's probably one or two that's still stuck in my head. I mean, I've got a few things.
Yeah, well, I got to get new ones. All mine came true, so I don't know what to do.
Now I know what to get you for Christmas.
A brand new conspiracy.
There we go.
Oh, hey, DJ's back. Hey, Doug, I haven't seen you on. Great to have you back. I know you've been busy, as everybody. Guys, I literally basically got in, about 10 minutes before the show.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we had a busy day around here, too. And, of course, Danelle, she purchased a new hay burner, or pasture ornament, or as some people call them, horses. So now we have one of those again. Mine says Yamaha, so my horse is good to go. I got a green one and a red one.
My wife is trying to get some friends of hers have a little ranch south of Mitchell that trying to get.
Wait a second. A ranch or an acreage?
They have acreage. It's not really a ranch, not like yours, but no, they're trying to get them donkeys. So Donkey Dan and something else that she named them all. She's already named them. They haven't got them yet, but.
Now, isn't it just really good? To me, the Democrat Party, the Democratic Communist Party, chose a donkey, an ass as their icon. I mean, I thought it was fitting. They've always had that as their symbol.
Why aren't we a lion? I don't understand that one. Why aren't we a lion? I mean,
MAGA, where I guess MAGA is the lion. I've seen that taken hold, but yeah. Anyway, get back to Rick Becker.
Yep.
Rick, I know Rick very well. I believe Rick is probably the constitutionalist in the primary race of the GOP for the Congress seat. We have one lone seat. Our incumbent has decided he's going to step down, and Kelly is, and we're proud. Jamie and I, we've had this discussion many times. As you can see, I have my Armstrong ammo box back here. I know Kelly. I've known him a long time. He's been a huge, staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, the NRA, and the Friends of NRA program in Dickinson, North Dakota. So got a history there. And I'm proud to endorse him. Kelly is proud, or Jamie's proud to endorse him. And Guns in the 701 is endorsing. We have officially decided we're endorsing Kelly Armstrong for governor. We probably should have done a long time ago, but just so everybody knows that is. Now, as far as Rick goes and myself, I fully endorse Rick Becker. Sorry, Rick Berg ran too. Rick Becker. I think he's probably the only constitutionalist in the race. I've already voted for him because we have to do absentee ballots here, but I strongly encourage everybody, if you want a guy that's going to go to D.C. and going to say something, like he said last night, he's one vote. He can't really say, I'm going to go to D.C. and do this, this, and this. You're one guy. You got to get other people to go with you.
Yeah, right.
But he's not going to be a moderate, unlike a lot of his opponents, like Fedorowicz or whatever the hell her name is. I can't stand her anyway. We call her the Barbie doll because she dressed up in pink during the state convention and looked like a little Barbie, and that didn't play well for her. But I can tell you right now, Rick will take the constitutional line. He'll make the tough votes. The ads you're hearing in North Dakota right now that Rick isn't for this, Rick isn't for that. He's explained it very well on several platforms, including ours, that sometimes these votes take place and he votes for it later. Kelly's done the same thing because it was a bad bill. It was filled with things that you didn't want passed, and I wouldn't vote for it either. So unless you've watched committee meetings, unless you've went to those legislative sessions and sat in those meetings there or been there for the votes, don't start throwing stones until you've read the bill. Because I have read the bills. Imagine that, right, guys? I just wanted to put that out there. I officially will be supporting Rick and endorse Rick Becker myself. Guns in the 701, we officially endorse Kelly Armstrong as governor of the great state of North Dakota. So just a quick announcement there, I guess. You want to add anything to that, Mike? I know you were on half the show I
was on half the show, and like I said, I had a lot of good things to say about his answers. I enjoyed his answers, so they're very precise. I mean, he has heard all the attacks. He's heard everything come at him, every angle in the plant and this and that. And he came back and he answered him. He didn't around and he didn't pull the, well, I don't, want to reply to that. He replied to everything that was thrown at him, and he did it with professionalism. So that's the way we want to go with it, I think.
Absolutely. DJ brings up something. He says, need to get back to single item bills. I can't agree more than that's just the way we need to get to a bill and have it pertain to the subject that it contains.
Every candidate, every party, both parties are all, and even the independents and all that, they all do the same thing. They tack on the crap that they can use again. Even though you've got a great bill, they tack on crap that if you vote yes for the main thing, you're voting for something dumb at the bottom. And what happens? They use it against you in politics and whatnot. And it happens on both sides. It needs to stop. We need to get to serious politics.
Yeah, we're seeing it right now. I mean, today when we went down to get that horse and I was listening to 550, and I mean, one attack ad after another. They must have decided to spend a lot of money here these last 2 weeks, essentially. To go out against Rick on both sides of it. It's interesting. Kara Mund and Julie, the Barbie doll, she's also been doing it. And I'm telling you right now, the attack ads are stupid. They're false. They take little clips and snippets. They talk about how Rick Becker didn't vote for the wall. Well, sorry, but he wasn't in Congress, so he couldn't vote for the wall.
Well, technically, they're telling the truth. They're just not telling you the full truth. So.
Exactly. And your low information voter, unfortunately, believes a lot of that crap. I mean, you look down at, I know we're talking about North Dakota and Rick, but Georgia's got some issues going on down there too. But I think you guys at least made some headway on your elections, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Things are, I have not been too crazy about our governor.
No, you and me both.
You know, for his first campaign, he was all Second Amendment. I mean, he just stood on that strong. And then as soon as he was elected, crickets. You heard nothing from him when we were trying to get constitutional carry passed and everything. He was just completely silent until he needed that leverage again for the next election, and then he signed it in. So he uses it as a tool, and I don't appreciate that you're playing with my rights that way.
Well, so many of them do that. That's why when like when we had Kelly on, we asked him basically what the Second Amendment. I asked that to every candidate we have. What's the Second Amendment mean to you? Yeah. And any other answer than it's to protect us from tyranny is wrong. Okay, it's not about hunting. It's not about fishing. It's not about having a shotgun to go get birds during hunting season. Our founders put those 27 words in stone. They set them in stone, so nobody could change them. They're not supposed to be interpreted. Law is supposed to be interpreted according to them, and we're starting to see that finally in cases like Heller and Bruin. I'm telling you right now, the Second Amendment was put into place so that we, the people, when we saw our government becoming crazy and tyrannical and overbearing, we're supposed to take them out and replace them. That was and is the intent of the Second Amendment. If you don't like that, then there's plenty of countries. Go ahead and move them to them, because if you don't like the Constitution, you don't like our Second Amendment, you don't like our rights, then leave. It's pretty simple. Yeah, get the hell out of here. I don't know. I'm kind of wound up tonight, guys.
I was having a lot of crap on the radio. I was having a discussion today because I'm dealing a lot with taxes right now, and I'm pretty wound up about taxes because
don't even get me started there.
As you know, I work in different states in the film industry. I'll work a show in this state, work a show in this state. Yes. So I have to pay taxes in each one of those states. And by the way, New York is real fun for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, New York sucks.
But I did a show in North Carolina, and it was one show, and I made around $6,000. Okay. They taxed me on $61,000. So the taxes are the taxes they're trying to charge me is literally more than I made.
Wow.
So it was an error on their part, but they're wanting me to pay them money so they can release put a release on the statements and stuff, so I can fight this thing. And it's just ridiculous. So it feels like between the attack on the Second Amendment and how much we're taxed, 37% some of us get taxed. 37% of our entire income goes to the government. It's like they hold us hostage. Well, it's not like they hold us. They absolutely do, because if we don't pay their taxes,
they come get us. Yeah.
So we're completely held hostage. And between trying to take our protection away from us, attacking our First Amendment, taxing us to death, it's getting really, really bad, and people are getting fed. I mean, I consider myself to just be an average Joe. I hate using that term now. I'm just an average guy, and I'm extremely fed up. And there's a lot of guys out there, and some of them we know very well, that are just waiting for the hammer to fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me started on taxes. I will tell you this: that having a Schedule F, which is it does help quite a bit. Helps offset a lot of the tax I probably would be paying because of investment income and other things. I've got more than just selling my calves, guys. It's just that simple. I worked really hard to do that throughout my life, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And 38% is low. You start getting into certain brackets, it goes up, regardless of what they tell you, because a lot of us might be facing capital gains taxes. And a lot of people don't even deal with that because they don't have investments that have a capital gain.
Right.
If you happen to sell, and the one that really scares me more than anything, because that would be devastating to myself, is the unrealized capital gains. Are you flipping kidding me? Biden and his regime and commies want to have they want to take the value of the property. They want to take the value of your portfolios, your investment portfolios, stock shares, things like that. See where you purchased them. See what they're now worth, and then figure that capital gain as if you sold it and then tax you on that. It's like, no, I ain't doing it. I will freaking burn this place to the ground before I give it to the government.
And then they'll take the land.
No, well, they might, but I'll be dead because I'm gonna. You know what's gonna happen here.
They'll
But
get
it's
one.
just it's getting ridiculous at how
They'll
bad things are getting here, and getting closer to the election. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not happy with either party.
No?
I'm
No,
just
I'm not
I
either.
think the Republican parties are just too weak. Of course, I side with more of their values and ways, but I think they're weak. I think they're just not
Well,
standing strong enough against the Democrats.
And that's why, you know, and I'm gonna play Becker's clip right here. But I can tell you right now, a guy like Becker, and I keep coming back to him because I do believe in Rick Becker. The guy is a staunch constitutionalist. He has a 10-year record of voting that way through 5 different sessions, because we only meet every 2 years in North
Right.
Dakota. And it's impeccable, and it didn't change. And he made some hard votes, even when it wasn't the popular thing, but it was the constitutional thing. So that's the kind of guy I want. You got this Julie out there talking about, or even Kara Mund, I'm the moderate, and I can go to D.C. and work with people. I don't want you to go to D.C. and work with people. I want you to go there, burn down the enemy, get back to the Constitution, and then find more people like you.
Stop going to Washington and coming back and saying, "Hey, look at all this pork I brought back for us
That's
here."
the
And all
biggest
that.
problem.
Well, you know what? For every dollar that you got from the government to bring back to our state, we had to give up something for it.
Absolutely.
So, and people don't understand that, and they need to understand that's the concept. If you give them something, they're going to take. And that's just
Absolutely,
the way
they
it
will.
works out.
All right, so I'm going to play Rick Becker's one of his ads. I actually kind of spiced this one up because it was a commentary on his accomplishments, and it had to do with the constitutional carry. So I'll play that one, and we'll play his other ad here a little bit later.
Okay.
Hey everyone, Rick Becker here. I am talking about things I accomplished as a state legislator. This is part 3, so I'm doing this little video series to focus on some of the positive things that I've done over the years, and also counter the argument that the opposition makes that I'm too rigid and uncompromising and can't work with people, therefore won't get anything done. I tell you what, the things that I was able to accomplish for those 10 years in the state legislature absolutely requires a lot of strategy, a lot of planning, a lot of working with people. So part 3, constitutional carry. We're talking about Second Amendment and the ability to carry a firearm. If you want to carry it concealed prior to my bill passing, you had to get a permit from the government, a concealed weapons permit. You had to take a test, pay a fee, and then retest every so often. So the constitutional carry made it so that you can just carry a firearm. Now, I call it permitless carry because there are still some restrictions that if it were truly according to the constitutional, shall not be infringed, they wouldn't be in place. But they're there, they're part of the whole compromise of getting this to pass. It's okay to compromise politically as long as we're not compromising on principle. One of the things I wasn't happy about when it first passed in 2017 was there was a 1-year residency requirement. If we were going according to the Constitution, there'd be no residency requirement. But we were able to get that changed down to 30 days the next session or the one after that. I advocated for 0 days, which frankly ensured that the 30-day amendment would pass. So anyway, we've got a great law in place. When it was being argued in the state legislature, there was all sorts of concern. It was right when the pipeline protests were happening. Out-of-staters were abundant and causing problems in the state. And we were also being told that the Canadians who we like to come down and shop and buy our goods, that they would stop coming to North Dakota for fear that it was a crazy, Wild West, dangerous place to be if we had constitutional carry. That has obviously been shown to be untrue, patently false, which we knew would be the case. But, you know, the crazy arguments in favor of Second Amendment restrictions never pan out. So that's part 3. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk soon.
All right. Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. And he's right. He was very, very instrumental. I mean, that was his bill. And I like how he put that, not just constitutional carry, it's permitless carry, because there was a lot of work to do on that. Now, we were talking last night with Rick before I got nixed on there by Starlink. But he said that he thought, I told him, I said, I think they got that changed, but I'm not sure as far as residents versus non-residents. And I haven't been able to get an answer because I didn't have time today, but I will get that answer Ben Koppelman, who he's another great patriot in the House of Representatives, said that he thought that they got that changed. So I'm gonna find out for sure. I'm just gonna get on the Century Code website and look it up, because if that's the case, that's great. I've never believed you had to be a resident or non-resident to exercise constitutional carry. I mean, it's a right. It should be a right in all 50 states, and that's where I stand on it. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're right. It is, and you know, his words are pretty straightforward, so we absolutely understand that. So, I mean, you know, he says what he means, and he does it.
Yeah.
And
He does.
It's
Absolutely.
not something we get a lot. So, you know, we've been biting our tongues every time we support a candidate that turns around and bites us in the ass because they don't do what they promised they do. So it's refreshing to have somebody that's kind of got a record for it. So yeah, it's pretty good.
He'd have my vote if I was up there.
Yeah.
Well, if you switch over to Democrat, you could probably vote from there to the other place.
You can vote.
Or if I had a death certificate.
Oh yeah, that too.
Well, and here's one problem, and I go back and forth with a lot of people on this, young and older. I really have a problem with the fact that we do not have voter registration in the state of North Dakota. We don't have it. And I go, for starters, they're complaining about how the other party can hijack our primaries because of it. True. But it's because we don't have voter registration. And I keep explaining this, that if we had voter registration, it does a few things. A, we know exactly who is registered as a Republican, not necessarily of a Republican Party member, you know, a paid member, but we do know who's calling themselves Republicans. Gives us a list. I mean, I worked on a lot of big campaigns in South Dakota. We'd always go get that list of registered Republicans in your district or in your county or in your town. And then we had our base. We could go start there. You don't have that in North Dakota. The GOP has a membership roster, but it is nothing. I mean, there's 1,200 people that call themselves Republicans as paid members of a party. Well, there's close to 600,000-700,000 people in the state of North Dakota. That's a pretty small sampling, isn't it?
It's very small.
So I want it for that. Plus, when you go into South Dakota, if you are a registered Republican, guess what? You only get handed a Republican primary ballot. And you have to do it, I think it's 90 days out. So you got to make that decision a ways out. In North Dakota, you only have to be a resident for 30 days. And all you have to do to prove that is have a North Dakota driver's license or a photo ID, a government ID, and essentially a valid address. And you got to take in a couple forms of that to prove. And that's it. Boom. You love this. You know that you can still put I believe your X. I know on the absentee ballots, you can make your sign, X, and then have somebody attest that you're a resident. Are you kidding? Matthew Simon. Yep. You're right. He says you can't have an open primary and no voter registration, just the same as you can't have an open borders in a welfare state. Absolutely, Matthew. And I know you and I thought we were on opposite sides at one time, but then we talked about it, and we are on the right side. What is that noise? Anyway, he's absolutely right. You cannot just have an open primary with no voter registration, because I can go into right round in North Dakota. If we wanted to screw up the Democrat side, which we don't have a big standing of them anyway, because most of them switched to Republican Party,
right,
and are rhinos. But you can go in there and you get your ballot in the primary. You have the Republican, you have the Democrat, and then there might be an independent or whatever other party there might be. Now you have to vote. You can't vote cross-party, but you have to vote in one of the parties that's on the ballot.
Right.
So you could get a bunch of Democrats going there. Hey, we don't want Becker in there. They can walk in there and vote the Republican side of that and vote for Karen Munn.
Yeah.
And that's stupid. So you're right. You can't have it both ways, Matt. I absolutely agree. And hopefully we can get that changed at some point, I hope. Hey guys, over on Rumble, good to see you over there. Last night we had troubles with that, but it evidently started going before I got axed on there, before Starlink went down, Mike, because it did the whole show.
It worked out. I was flipping around different of our platforms, and it was all there, so it was good. I don't know what was happening last night, but it was a weird one.
I'm not going to hammer this too much more, so I just wanted to encourage everybody to get out there June 11th. If you haven't voted already, June 11th, I encourage everybody to vote in person. I think that's how it should be. And we're going to work on something in 2025 to get our polling areas open again, so that there isn't just one required to be open in each district. So that's a bunch of crap. But anyway,
I think we should let the rhinos have the, like we said earlier, have the elephant as their symbol, and we should do something different.
That's pretty awesome.
I love it. We are the Lions. We are like DJ. He says that South Dakota is coming up, and that's June 4th. So yeah, June 4th in South Dakota, get out there and vote. June 11th, right here in North Dakota, get out there and vote. And I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Everybody's, we want everybody to vote. I do not want everybody to vote. I want informed people to vote. I don't want morons voting. Period.
Yeah, exactly.
I have never been the guy we got to make sure everyone votes. It's like saying all the above on energy. I'm not for all of the above either. I only want renewable energy, and that's gas, coal, and oil. Yes, I did say renewable. I'm not going to go into that tonight, but I do not believe in all above. If you want to make a wind tower, go make it on your own, but don't force everybody to do it. If you want to do stupid solar panels, there is a place for them. Maybe in your home, they can work, but they do not fulfill anything on the grid. It's just like on any of this stuff. So voting is a serious thing. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, don't vote, because you don't know what you're doing. Get yourself informed. That's your job if you're going to vote. That's your job if you're going to vote.
You can make things worse if you don't know what you're voting for.
That's right.
When we see people that are out that are yelling or whatever for their side, whichever side they're on, and they're yelling and they're crying and they're doing this and I'm being all emotional and everything like that. And I'm like, don't be emotional. A lot of the subjects that we have to deal with, are to our core, but we're not out there freaking out because of one thing or another. When when we voted for Trump in the 2016 and went to bed, I went to bed thinking he lost. I was drunk a little bit, but I went to bed and for a little, like around midnight or so, because I thought, well, you know what, this is just going to be some sort of whatever craziness. So, but I thought the next day I'm going to get up, I'm going to volunteer more for my local Republican Party, this and that. I'm going to be out there doing things I got to do. And somehow I woke up in the morning and my kids and my wife and my daughter hated me. So yeah, I was like, what did I do already? I just woke up. Well, apparently we won the election. So, and that's the thing about it is that, no matter what, you've got to go out there and think that no matter which way the elections go, you can't just sit back for 4 more years and wait for someone to come save your butt. You've got to go out and you've got to take part in your party. You got to take part. And if your party's not towing the line, then you've got to toe the line and find other people that are like-minded as well. So, I mean, it's just the way we got to do it.
I was lucky enough in 2016. I actually happened to be in Rapid City. I was attending the Pennington County Republican stuff. I had an invite. Still had a lot of connections down there. It was funny to walk in there from when I was helping on the Thune campaign. I felt like the old guy in there. That's I'm telling you, I didn't know a lot of them people in there anymore, but it was good to see those young 20 to 30-year-olds that were very active. But yeah, when I left that deal and went back to the motel room, I was like, I don't know. And so I flipped it on, but I did stay up then. I just could not. I kept watching these things come in. I was like, I've got to know. I can't go to bed. I won't sleep anyway. And I don't know. It was what, 2 a.m? I don't even remember anymore when they finally called it for Trump. And that I was like, yeah, finally, but it took a long time because I can tell you part of that. Remember when old Hitler, she went ahead and they rented that big building with the glass ceiling because they're going to break the glass ceiling. They were so sure they built the algorithm correctly that they were going to win, but they underestimated all of us voting for Trump. And it was that they didn't make that mistake twice. As far as I'm concerned, I think 2020 was a sham. And I thought Trump had it going to bed that night. And I woke up in the morning.
About 2 o'clock in the morning is when 240,000 votes came in for Biden all at the same time.
Yeah. But yet he can't draw 2 people to a speech unless they force people to go. I mean, it was not up on the up and up. It's been proven. I've watched all these things that Lindell's group has put out there. The numbers don't lie. They can say whatever they want in the what I call the drive-by media, like Rush used to call them. I'm telling you right now, it's pretty obvious what happens when these percentages are within 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%, and they're all the same difference after 2 o'clock in the morning. And you've all seen that line where it's going like this, and then It's true. But you know what? That's 2020. We're in 2024. I love the idea. I seen it when I went to the deal, Trump's deal in Rapids. Too big to rig. Absolutely. I think it is this time, guys. I really do. I like what Jamie said here. 701 Nation. Hey, welcome to everybody from there. I see there's quite a few people on X watching there as well as on our Guns and 701 watching on Twitter. We don't need a new party. I'm with Rush Limbaugh when he said we need to take back the Republican Party and get back to following the party principles. Absolutely.
Agree.
And that's what we've all been saying. Rick said it last night. He goes, I'm not anti-Republican. He goes, I'm a Republican. Someone, I don't know who said it. They said something about him basically not running as a Republican while you're taking on these other paths. No. Rick is a Republican according to our platform. Our platform is great in North Dakota. It is solid. It's constitutional. We just have so many that don't follow it. And you're right, Jamie. Rush Limbaugh was absolutely right. We sure miss Rush. I know I do every day.
Yeah.
And we could use him, but he was absolutely right. You go back and look at his archives. There's so many of the things he said are still relevant today. Isn't that something? How many years it's been now, and it's still relevant. So, tell you what, and I apologize to my sponsors. We haven't even mentioned. We've been on for a half hour. Lauer Auto Repair. We can't do it without guys like Lauer Auto Repair and Doug down there. And, of course, we got Bloodline Kinetics. Great guy come on board, FFL dealer, gun manufacturer. He's making me and Jamie a couple of pretty cool ARs. We were anxious to get them out there and do some videos with them and have some fun. And, of course, we don't want to forget. I'm going to mention them, but I don't want to. That's Double H Guns. They're a sponsor of 701 Nation. And, of course, Mandan Sporting Goods, which they're moving, guys. Moving to a brand new location. And I believe that's 206. Do you remember that? I don't remember it. You
sent it to me and I got it, but of course I actually did edit the commercial today, so I sent you the audio for that.
There it is. 206. I knew I had it here somewhere, guys. New Mandan, 206 4th Avenue, Northwest Mandan. For those of you that live up there in the Bismarck Mandan area, that's going to be 2 blocks north of Runnings off of Main. 2 blocks north of Runnings off of Main Street. So I can't say enough about our great sponsors. So I'm going to play a quick advertisement, play some bills, guys, and we'll come back and get into some of the other subjects we had. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy, Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
All right, welcome back. Hey, did you get everything done while we were in the break?
We did. That reminds me now that I saw our salt tumblers there. I left mine over at my brother-in-law's. I need to go get that thing.
Oh, you need to go get that. I got my new one from Chris Brownell.
Ooh.
I tell you what, I got to give a plug out to him, and we're going to get him on here. This is American Steel Supply in Brainerd, Minnesota. And I thought it was pretty nice. I love the color of this. I really do.
Yeah, I do like that one.
So
I'll tell you what.
Thank you, Chris.
I know for a fact I got a product from Chris once for our veteran.
Yes.
That we took hunting. He does phenomenal work. And I've recently been checking on. I'm looking to buy some welding tables. And he sent me some of his work. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he does great work. Guys, he does a lot of fabricating. In fact, he makes us steel targets. We just send our presidential. I got one, and Waylon's got one, and now Doug has one up there from Lauer Auto Repair on his range. He'll have a new presidential.
And we got to throw a big
image.
Thank you out there to when you become our main sponsor. You've been with us from the very beginning, Lauer Auto, and of course Axe and all that. That when you become our very esteemed first and best customer, we make you open all the cattle gates when we have Second Amendment.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
So I have some video on that I need to edit.
Let you open the cattle gates.
Let you.
Yes, and we've got a lot of great video. We didn't, we weren't able to do what Jamie and Axe do because I don't have the scope thing like he does. I should probably get one and put it on my spotting scope because that seems like that's the best way. But
yeah.
We did use your phone and mine with your little clicker to turn things on and off, and was able to get some side views, especially with the 50 caliber. So we should use that a little bit more. We did do a red, white, and blue tannerite.
Which, I got that stuff cool too. I just got to edit it all down because we let it run for a while. And so
yeah. So we had a great day out there. We wasn't able to do it at Axis, so we held it out at Whalen's, just north of Bullhead, South Dakota, down there. Whalen was right. He didn't even hesitate. Yeah, come on out. By the way, Vance, you won't recognize the place.
Really?
Brownell, he brought his skid steer and moved all them vehicles like we talked about doing for years.
Wow.
And I mean, it was just awesome. We did a lot of shooting. We did a lot of long range shooting. Shot the mile. I missed, but David hit it with a freaking $500-600 rifle with a Savage. So good, congrats to him, and he walked it in there. But I did miss. But that happens.
We've done it.
It's been 9 years since we did that, Vance.
Yeah.
So if you don't do it, you lose it. So I got to get back out there, and I do have a place to put a mile target. Guarantee you. I'm gonna be doing a little practice.
Had a great time out there with all you guys, and of course with my son Jack as well. Of course, you can tell he had a good time there.
Oh yeah. They were having him and Leighton. They hopped in that little buggy there, and they run all over, having a great time. And I'm so impressed. Both of them, they've grown up so much. I don't know where that time goes, but they were having fun. They did some shooting. I got a new 1022 from David. And he brought that down. We did the paperwork. How about that? You can do a transfer now in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yep.
I mean, think about that. And we shot that a little bit. Nice little gun. It's the 60th anniversary. It's a Davidson, basically special. There was only so many of them produced. I think the way it looks, I got to check it out. But David pointed out that I might have number 19 out of the production run. That's awesome. Pretty cool if that's the case. And I've got a lot of things that Davidson's has done. That's like for you car guys, like getting a Eddie Bauer edition or something like that. I mean, it's just a cool edition with a few.
I got caught off guard because David is so smart when it comes to guns and everything like that. And he at one point I had I don't know if it was my 8mm Mauser that I was shooting or something else, and he asked me a question. There you go. And he asked me a question, and I totally spaced because I had no idea. It was like when I was young, when my friends used to talk to me about cars and engines and stuff, and I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm just going to keep nodding. It was pretty bad, but we had a good time. Of course, so damn smart. I was around the smartest guys in the room when it comes to guns and everything else. So we had a great time at Second Amendment Days.
Absolutely. Jamie says, "Hey Mike, I believe the correct term is gate bitch." For you guys listening on the podcast, can't see it. You're right though, Mike. David is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to shooting. He's a state champion long range in North Dakota. He came in second place this year, but I guarantee you he can make that same mistake twice. He knows what happened. He did some changes. I guarantee he's probably going to win it next year. David knows a lot. He's a gun builder as well. I get a lot of knowledge from David, and I know it probably goes over my head a lot. But then I ask, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then he explains it. So
yeah,
I
I needed to do
ask
that.
questions either because he'll answer them.
I needed to do that more because I was just like, I don't know what you're saying.
I can tell you right now, if I don't know what they're talking about, I ask because they're going to know anyway. What if you pretend to know?
Well, no, I'm not pretending. I think you can see it in my face.
No, you weren't. I've seen you shoot. You're definitely not pretending.
Hold on a second, Clay. Hold on.
Because fuck them, that's why.
You got a bunch of stuff loaded up there tonight,
Yeah, I got
don't
this
you?
new computer we set up here, and I'm playing around.
But I will tell you that at our state fund meeting, we always did a little competition. If I remember right, didn't you win a gun, Mike?
Yeah, I did.
So we were impressed because that was the first time Mike ever shot worth a damn. So good job.
And we rigged the game because we were shooting clay targets with
410 pistols.
Yeah. So, we kind of evened the playing field, so it was like nobody was really prepared for that.
That was a lot of fun. And
rigging games. Me and Clay were accused of rigging games at the NRA because I was winning. I won 2 guns one night. I think I spent 3 times what those guns were worth.
Probably.
Well, you also probably went to 7 other banquets that in the last 3 or 4 weeks and spent as much money, didn't win anything. So yeah, people don't understand. We always hear about those guys and girls that go to banquets and they spend $25 on top of their ticket to eat, and then they didn't win anything and they complain, oh, everything's rigged. And I'm like, my dad did that at one of the other banquets, and he spent like he all the key items. What were they? They were selling the moose call for the elk calls, and he bought like 10 out of the 12 that they had, and then he lost. And then he was so damn mad at me, and I was just like, because and I'm like, Dad, unless you got all 12, you didn't win. I mean, it's not a guarantee. Right. So
that's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I don't know. I did that for almost 10 years, and I can tell you the guys that won a lot spent a lot. I mean, I got to see the end results at the night when they paid their bills. So trust me, everybody, went to a good cause when we were doing Friends of NRA banquet. And they definitely paid more than what they won
much
generally.
More than we ever won at those banquets.
I mean, there was always there was always the occasional I bought one ticket guy, and that did happen, and good for him. But for the most part, people spent way more than what they won, and they know that going in. Winning was just one of them icing on the cake type things. They wanted to donate.
We were there to support the program, and winning the guns from time to time was just
I still love the NRA Friends of NRA program. It's a great program, and it's too bad that after I retired that Triple D took over and destroyed it, and that is what happened. And people are like, oh well, 2020 came along. Well, he had 2 years before that, and he completely he obliterated the program. It's just
he inherited a good program,
yes,
and it went down from there.
He did, and I'm not silent about it anymore. I always try to, be the guy who retired, so I didn't say much at first, but no, that guy destroyed what we built, and it's too bad because this area was doing $750,000+ gross, generally netting over $500,000 to $600,000. That's pretty good net to gross. And North and South Dakota had anywhere from $300,000 to $200,000 a year to spend on programs in the state. Think about that.
In the state.
And now they got 30. So it's kind of it's almost like comparing Trump to Biden, right? We were the Trump era, and he was the Biden era. So
well, they only had $30,000 to spend in the state.
Yeah, that 1 year. I don't know what they had last year, but it's only been.
I'm pretty sure we gave that much to any one program. Sometimes
we did.
Sometimes
we were able to do a lot of cool things.
Well, you take somebody and you put them in a position where they got to raise money and on that, and you take a government official that and all he knows how to do is fail up, and he ran into the ground, and there's no consequences for people like that. They keep failing up, and that's just the way it is in life.
He was the wrong choice, not the one I had picked. I actually, and I'm going to disclose this, Mike did a lot of banquets with me, was kind of my right-hand man as far as being in that position. And Mike applied. He would have been the perfect choice, and he'd have done a great job. He went in there with a plan, and we changed regional directors. The regional director I'm sure what did it, Mike, was you were a lot like me. Well, I trained you essentially, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you had a vision and you had ideas. Brad didn't want any of that. He wanted a guy that would take orders. So he hired the game warden, Doug Delaroy, who destroyed the program. And I will name him because I can't stand him. And I call him Triple D because it's Doug Douchebag Delaroy. A dildo of consequence often arrives on lube. That's funny. Mike just put up a deal. But so, yeah, I'm a little bitter over it because I thought we really built a fantastic program. And we did.
And you know, we had our program here in Mitchell. They did well after, you know, I left and you left and everything, but they got actually their ducks in a row and got a good crew, and we're doing like double whatever it took to be, you know, high caliber. And you know, even they gave up on it because, you know, there's no leadership there. And you know,
well, you've got Eric Linder, who's a great guy. He runs Minnesota, but they expanded his area, and they basically gave him North Dakota. I think at first he had South Dakota, eastern South Dakota as well. And the Wyoming guy now has western South Dakota. And I don't know if he does the whole thing anymore, but big areas. And Eric lives in the Twin Cities. That's a long ways to be traveling to go do banquets, especially if you're even getting up to the you know, Pier area. That's still a long ways. So
yeah, it is.
It's just not feasible. And that's why there's hardly any banquets.
Yeah, and the program in general has gone down. Here in Georgia, it's almost non-existent anymore. When I first came here, it looked like they had quite a few of them. I started to try to get involved, and he found out I was attached to certain individuals and didn't want me to have anything to do with it.
So I didn't plan on talking about this thing, but let's just face it. After I retired and left, they essentially house cleaned and took out anybody that had anything to do with me. I mean, let's be fair. That's what they did. They brought people back that I fired, and I fired them for a reason. And they went back to doing the same old things they did before. Yeah. And the program went downhill. From there, they started getting crappy, cheap guns, 22 shot junk.
Yeah, the package is horrible.
Yeah, and essentially the whole program, that first year, probably the net to gross went up because they were buying cheaper guns and people weren't expecting. In fact, the Rapid City event, Doug actually scheduled the Grand Forks event over the spot that Rapid City had for years. You know, and everybody knew it was at that time of the year, and scheduled it right over the top of it. That's how much he give a damn about things. He just didn't care. And he basically told him to pound sand. So, you know what?
It means a little less from him than it does from us. You know,
I'm going to tell you straight out. When I had announced I was retiring and everybody was applying, he called me about it. You know, Mike asked, you know, what's the program about? What don't I know? Because Mike knew a lot, just like you did, Vance. Vance was thinking about doing it as well. A lot of the people that were in our program would have made great reps. They really would have. That's where we get them from.
Because our heart was in it.
Yes, and both of you guys were volunteers of the year for a reason, and more than once. Yeah. So when you look at that alone, that should say something. So getting back to this, Doug calls me, and he didn't ask. What do you think he asked me?
Oh, gosh.
Pay. What's it pay?
Yeah.
Didn't ask me about the requirement. Didn't ask me about anything else. Want to know what it paid. And I told him what the starting pay was. And that's double what I make. And he applied. That's the kind of guy that he was.
Yeah.
And I knew that. I knew that when he was volunteering over in Mulbridge. And you know what? There's nothing I haven't said here tonight that I haven't basically told him. And he can go to hell because he destroyed a good program that raised a lot of money and helped out a lot of young shooters come into this sport and into the Second Amendment. And that's on him, not me.
Yeah. And we helped law enforcement too with training programs and ranges and everything else. We bulletproof vests. We helped with a lot of programs.
We built ranges that didn't just benefit law enforcement, but it also benefited the public.
Yeah.
We also did the drug dog up in Williston. That's how they got their drug dog. We paid for all of it, not just the dog itself. We paid for the training. We paid for everything. That's the kind of money we had to help out the communities back then. Yeah. Dickinson, they did well.
Programs. Liz is still doing a great job out there. In
Liz
Texas.
is great.
Texas has a great program, and Liz does.
Josh is doing a fantastic job in Indiana. He's also a Rax Adventure team member. Yeah. And Josh and I are very, very good friends. And that's probably what I miss the most is the friends I made there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I still have a lot of contacts out there. Yeah. Guys, if you see a friends event, what I'm getting at is you see a friends event or a program, don't hold that. The past people maybe that have been involved or the bad ones, go to it and support it because it is a good program and the money comes home. The money comes home. I've never seen a program that says 50% is dedicated to the state where it was raised.
And you'll meet a lot of like-minded people. You'll have a great time, and it all goes to a good cause.
Absolutely. So, all right. So we're going down a lot of rabbit holes tonight. Do we want to go finally and talk about this Illinois story, Mike?
I do want to talk about this story because I think it's really important. This is a big story.
Before we do that, though, I think we need to thank our sponsors once again because we don't want to forget our sponsors. And then we'll come back. That should put us about the top of the hour. We'll go into the Illinois story, and then we got the badass of the week, and we can't forget about that, can we?
Nope, we got it.
I want to thank that. So, all right. So let's go on. Let's do our. I got to find the right one here. I believe this is our triple ad. So here we go. Thanking some sponsors and paying some bills. We'll be right back.
I'm from the Athlete's Foot Foundation.
Brother, hey, can you get my demo tape to somebody?
Lauer Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Experience the exhilaration of power in your hands at Bloodline Kinetics. Why Cerakote? Simply, it aids in firearm preservation while also giving your piece a unique look. Barrel threading, NFA laser engraving, bolt handle threading, mount, level, and bore, sight scope chamber rebarreling, and much more. Bloodline Kinetics is meant to reflect a long American lineage in gun ownership, who stand for the Second Amendment rights, Bloodline, and the science behind gun accuracy. Kinetics. To some, it's just a constitutional right that can go away. To us, it's in our American bloodline, and we believe it should stay that way. Here at Bloodline Kinetics, we understand that hunters, sportsmen, women, and gun owners should have a quality firearm. Stop and see us at 2008 Morrison Avenue 2 in Bismarck, North Dakota, 58504, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call 701-390-7997. Visit our website, bloodlinekinetics.com.
Ever tried catching a fish with your bare hands or hunting a deer with a stick? Don't be that guy. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we've got all the hunting and camping gear you need. We're your one-stop shop for outdoor adventure.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Check us out at mandansportinggoods.com, or better yet, stop in to 210 East Main Street, Mandan, North Dakota. Mandan Sporting Goods, where the outdoors meets functionality. Store hours, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Closed Sunday. Take up arms at Mandan Sporting Goods. Your adventure starts here.
All right, welcome back. Just a quick reminder, guys, Mandan Sporting is going to have a new address, 206 4th Avenue Northwest in Mandan, North Dakota. 206 4th Avenue Northwest. By the way, I don't know, I think Jamie announced it last night, but we're not going to be there June 1st because they're not quite ready for their grand opening. But when they do get ready, and it sounds like it's going to be a couple weeks probably, they're going to be open, but he's not ready. So we're going to hold off with that, and we are going to be there whenever they have that grand opening. Guns in the 701 will be there to have a little fun. Who knows, Mike? Maybe you can make another trip up here and have some fun.
Well, yeah, I need an excuse.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do. Bloodline Kinetics has donated a certificate. I believe it's for a threading for a barrel.
Right.
And we'll talk about, I'm going to talk with Mike and see when we're going to give that away. So stay tuned. Follow our social media platforms at Fascist-book, CommieTube, Twitch now, Rumble. Anywhere you know where Guns and 701 is, go ahead and follow it. Because we'll try to put that information out there and let you know when we're going to draw for that and how to enter. So, all right, Mike, let's finally go to this Illinois story.
So this one is, so I'll tell you the story. What it is that late at night, the police pulled over a gentleman. Got to get his name, of course, here once again. Looking at it here real quick. For Friday, just after 3 a.m., Central Illinois city, infamous for the area being former sundowner town, is what they said. A Pekin County police officer pulled over a car for a traffic violation. They're saying never got a ticket for that traffic violation, by the way. So
I've seen that too.
Now, according to the affidavit, now Dalton Mattis, he's 34 years old, was a passenger inside the vehicle. I forgot about that. He wasn't driving the vehicle. He was
just a passenger, by the way.
Passenger in the vehicle. He was inside the vehicle. And the officer asked what was in the canvas bag under the seat with the lock on it. It had a padlock on it. He said, well, if you need to know that, you need to go get a warrant. Well, the police took the bag, let Mattis go. Then
so
obtained...
I got a quick question, Mike.
Yeah. Go ahead on that one.
You know, I would generally tell cops to go pound sand too on it. It's none of their business.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you? I didn't go look at this, but did you find anything out as far as what Illinois law said, and if they even had the right to even pursue it after that? Because in South Dakota and North Dakota, you don't have to answer that. And if they really got probable cause, they literally got to get a warrant from a judge, and they can't do what you're going to read here.
Well, here's what they did: is they let Mattis go, but they took the bag,
stole his bag.
Illegal, stole
his bag.
Yeah, took the bag. And let him go. Apparently, I guess the traffic violation didn't matter either. So when they got the back to get a warrant for the judge to open the bag inside City Hall, there they found a .45 caliber pistol and 2 homemade pipe bombs rigged with BBs. Now,
not illegal.
Don't get me wrong. The guy, I don't know what he's up to, but if a second-year lawyer anywhere in this country could get this guy off for just what I've read so far,
they could have that thrown out of court.
They evacuated the building, called in the bomb squad from a neighborhood, neighboring Peoria. According to the local thing, Mattis was charged with being a felon in possession of a weapon. Now, he was the passenger in the car, by the way.
The passenger wasn't even driving.
So he wasn't the guy driving. So I don't understand why they went after him anyway. But so they went after that, and of course they charged him with the pipe bombs as well, according to local media. Engaged in a brief standoff when they came to pick him up. They made there's a bunch of different things in here. This comes from the Rolling Stones, by the way. So when I'm reading through this, I'm trying to read through all the crap they've got in here. Rolling Stone and American Doom analyzed more than 200 of Mattis's social media posts going back to 2016, starting around June of 2020. Mattis posts suggest he was sucked into the dregs of the far right internet.
The dregs of the far right internet. That's right. Voraciously
consumed and posted conspiracy and anti-government vitriol. I love those words. So they're calling him QAnon guy and a go to Civil War guy and everything like that.
Well, look at this. Yeah,
let's get over the fact.
Look at this next paragraph, Mike. It says hundreds of his posts shared over the past several years were his willingness to go to Civil War. Oh, where'd you heard that before?
Yeah.
His support for conspiracy theories ranging from chemtrails to QAnon, election lies, which they're not, sweeping anti-government conspiracies. Gee, I guess I must be crazy too. I've said a lot of that stuff. I'm willing to go to Civil War over tyranny and our rights and our Constitution. Do it in a heartbeat if we need to. So I guess that makes me bad too. Changed his picture on his profile to an upside down American flag with the phrase "We're not okay." Do you realize that when Obama took office, I raised my flag, brought it down to half staff, got rid of my flag, then took it and flipped it upside down, and then took it to the top of the flagpole because we were a country in trouble, and that is a sign of distress, and that's why I did it. So
now the media right now is playing up with the Judge Alito, the Supreme Court Judge Alito, flipping
on
the
that
flags
same
and all this
thing.
stuff like. And I'm looking like this, and I've said this to you, and I've said it to other people as well. I'm not taking advice about how to fly my flag from a group of people that want to burn it.
Exactly.
So I'm not taking from the party that wants to burn my flag. I am not taking advice on how I fly my flag. Now, they say, well, it has been this flipping the flag upside down has been co-opted by the January 6th insurrectionists. And I'm like going, no, it's been there all this time. It's always been that way. And it is a sign of distress.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
So anyway.
And I like what Keith says. Rolling Stone's nothing but ass. What a commie magazine. And you're right. It is. Nathan Mall. He says well spoken. And yeah, exactly. I like what Gene said about this. He goes, I'm thinking some rights were violated.
Just a couple.
Just a couple, right? Just a couple. Judge Alito, and that's Judge Alito just made a statement that he will not recuse himself. I heard that too, Lynette, on the news, and good for him. Nor should he. Yeah. You know what? His wife's First Amendment rights are just as equal as anybody else's, and I'm glad to see Alito do that.
Here's one for you. Kevin Johnson, that's the Tazewell County's lead prosecutor, is telling American Doom and Rolling Stones it's very possible there will be some additional charges, including some of things that you're asking about. Obviously, we're investigating that aspect of it, including why he had all those devices. Now, one, they were, no matter what, I don't know. Maybe he was going after somebody in particular. Maybe he, whatever it was still throughout all the laws and all his rights as an American citizen, doing what they did. He was the passenger in the car. They didn't arrest the driver of the car.
And I still don't know what he was really pulled over for. I couldn't find that.
There's some gray areas there. I mean, it's obvious laws violated, but there's some gray areas there that just don't seem right. And they did not take; they stole. Yeah. And why? After you already violated his right and stole his personal property, why did you take the time to go off, take it to the courthouse, and get a warrant after you already took it?
Maybe that's what they do out there in Illinois. I don't know. I mean, they got some of the dumbest gun laws I've ever seen.
I'm thinking it is. And I don't understand the thing they were mentioning. This is a former sundowner town. I mean, I know what that means, and I know what they're saying, but I'm like, I can go ahead and point to, at one point, New York was a sundowner town. At one point, everybody had a sundowner.
Why don't you tell everybody what that means? Because there's a lot of people on here I'm sure don't know, Mike.
If you are out on and about on the streets of a town after a certain time, then you're fair game to be taken out or whatever else. The Klan used it a lot. They used that term is usually picked on by the Klan, but it was also done against the Italians. It's done against many others, and it's absolutely wrong. But at the same time, it's part of our past, and just because a town was that way once doesn't mean it is not. I don't know why they bring. It's like they're.
I don't know why they even put it in there.
They're waxing poetic. They're trying to preach a narrative, and the narrative is that here. I wish I could do that thumb thing where you make the thumb disappear, because that's what they're doing right now. Hey, forget that we broke all the rules arresting this man and got it right. But look at this magic trick I can do real quick. It's exactly like that. It's absolutely crazy. It's what we were saying in many shows in the past, is that when's it going to come down to the fact that you have a bumper sticker on your car, no matter what it is.
It's
pro this or pro this or anti whatever else, and that's their probable cause to pull you over. They're looking for anything. What do you have? What do you have underneath your seat? What do you give a shit? Go get a warrant. Pound sound. I mean, what do you have in your glove box? It's none of your goddamn business.
I used to get pissed off when I get pulled over for crossing a fog line, which, by the way, it's a probable cause law. Basically, is what it was created for. There's no fine for it. Yeah. And I got asked where I'm headed. I've flat out told them, none of your business. And they get pissed. It's none of their business where I'm going. Period.
I got pulled over driving truck one time by DOT. I was headed to California. And he said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "East." He said, "Where are you going?" I went,
"West."
I actually told one jackass down there in that Sioux Falls area when he pulled me over. Get this, I wasn't even speeding, which was surprising, right, Mike?
Yeah.
That was all like I said I was swerving. I was like, well, I'd like to see that, but whatever. He goes, well, where are you from? I said, my mom and dad. He didn't like that one.
No.
But you know what? It's stupid. Don't harass me. I asked him, I said, what'd you pull me over for? Oh, you were swerving. I said, let's see the video. Because I knew all the cop cars then had the cars themselves. That's before body cams. He said, well, I wasn't running it. I said, then we got nothing to talk about. I said, I'm leaving.
To talk about.
He goes, you will not leave, and I've detained you. I said, you can kiss my ass. I left. He never followed me. You know, there's a time to stand up and there's a time not to. Obviously, this guy was probably a problem, right, Mike? But that's irrelevant.
I'm not saying he's not.
His rights were actually violated.
He's an American citizen whose rights were violated, and out of a fluke, you know, they got him for this. But it's become common course for this to be used to pull over anybody and detain anyone.
It's like in North Dakota, the fog line, guys. If you don't know what that is, it's a white line on the side of the road. And you can be pulled over by any law enforcement officer if you have crossed or waved, you know, even touched it. There's no fine for it. In North Dakota Century Code, there's no fine for it. But they can pull you over and let you know you did it.
I was listening to a podcast.
And they created a probable cause is what they
I was listening to a podcast recently, and there was a court case where it's actually a precedent in the Supreme Court, whereas if the crime has no fine or penalty, then you can't do anything about it to begin with. So case dismissed.
It's stupid.
Yeah. I have to find out what that case was now, so it's driving me crazy. So there we go. But anyway, I definitely wanted to talk about that. That is a blatant abuse of power right there.
There's a lot more in this article that to me is, I mean, they go into this whole thing, how he's a right-wing radical, he's a welder. I mean,
he's working class. Yeah, I like that. They're talking about he's a lifetime welder, and I'm like, oh my God, he's a welder.
It's crap, and it's how the left that's how the left thinks of us. And that's basically what the rest of this article is they didn't talk about his rights but they just talked about how he's essentially a hardworking man.
All right.
He's a welder and an everyday guy.
How much does your average starting welder make?
It varies, but I bet it's 100,000 at least in some areas, especially the oil fields.
In some areas, it depends on what, small weld shop or pipeline welder.
So any of our friends out there that are left leaning, that don't comment on the things, obviously, but are watching in this, and that's fine. We'll take.
Well, and Turner says it goes. Good thing on the 1806. I was talking about going to the farm. That's that's the road over there on the is that the eastern or the western side of it? I don't remember, Waylon. He says I crossed that line a lot. I've done that a lot too. I really have. Hey, Waylon chimed in here. I got to talk about this because Waylon Little Eagle chimed in. We're just talking about it. It says awesome time out here to host 2A day at the Iron Dog Creek Range, which is 1,760 yards. That's the 1 mile. Yep. Close to the Pistola presidential targets for a few AR-500 targets from the American Steel Company. And that's right. Basically, we had a great time out there. Waylon was a gracious host. Let us come out there and take over the place. We got some more steel that we're going to be evidently putting up. According to Chris, we're going to be putting some more up next year. And we're going to try to take, you remember Vance, well, and Mike both, that structure there, that the poles are good. It's structurally sound. We're going to do something with that next year. And then Chris wants to come out here and maybe even get it done this fall. So I'm all in on that. All it's going to take is a little hard work. I told him to do it maybe around hunting season because a bunch of us will be there. So I think that'd be a great thing. I have a cement mixer. If we do it right, maybe next spring, I can take my tractor with the cement mixer on it. We can pour some cement in that area and have a really nice little shelter and covered firing point when needed.
Well, the good news is,
Vance, you got to come and see it if you're coming out this fall because the place is cleaned up great. So
Vance, bring your boys, Vance, because I'm going to bring Jack, and he's been working on concrete with the new construction company he's working with in the summer, and so me and you and Waylon can drink beer and watch.
Not only that, Keith has been chiming. Keith, you know your way around here. Stay in tune with us, and we'd love to have you join us over there. I know you like to shoot and have some fun. And we had both our boys down there. This is not a thing just for us guys. That's one of them things where we're trying to bring the kids, our older kids. But tell you what, David Fedding's young little guy there. What is he? 7?
Oh, he was plinking away. He was big.
Shoot. So, yeah.
I'm pretty
Keith
my
says
little
it,
guy.
yeah.
My youngest is 28.
When it comes to Hamas sympathizers, effing crickets. That's what Keith
Yeah.
says. That's very true.
Absolutely.
That's true. Eric says he got pulled over for crossing the fog line. There was 4 inches of fresh snow. I asked where the fog line was, and they just looked at me. Exactly. There are good ones. Don't get me wrong, but there are so many over there that they're not with us. They're just not. Waylon Turner says meant Highway 6 going to Shields. I figured it was something like that. He said 8. I didn't know it was 1806, but Highway 6. There you go.
There you go.
Shields. Oh my goodness. Me and Vance know where Shields is, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
I fought the fires around there, but I'm not going down that tonight. So, you got anything more you want to add on the Illinois story, bud?
No, we're hoping that there's more stuff comes out. I'm actually hoping to hear that somebody takes this, because I think the ACLU, I know that sounded weird, they should be jumping on this. This is a complete bastardization of someone's civil rights. So,
absolutely.
Hey, there you go.
And I
This
can
is
tell
what
you,
they claim to fight for.
That's what they claim to fight for.
and
So,
you'd be
there you
shocked.
go.
ACLU has taken up stuff like this, even teamed up with the NRA at times.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it's not like they're completely stupid once in a while. But so with that, I tell you what, I think we need. What do you think, Mike? I think it's time, don't you? You have a little segment that's becoming quite popular with Guns in the 701. So I'm going to hand it over to you and kind of let you introduce this.
So back in the days of World War II and through the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was a lot of Democrats that I would say were more, I guess, Republican today. I don't know. Anyway, but the point about it is that Hawaii, of course, where Pearl Harbor happened and whatnot, there was a lot that went on when that happened, including internment camps, which we can't deny our history. And we took what's called Nisi and Sisi Americans, which are for second generation and third generation American Japanese, and put them in internment camps. But there was a change in some of that, because FDR actually created a platoon, I should say, a whole force, battalion of people that were of that descent, and put them into the war, and they did great, including Daniel Noe, who we're going to talk about today. So we're going to go ahead, of course, our badass of the week for you, and it's about 15 minutes. If you got that much time to stay with us, we do appreciate. But we're going to go ahead and go refill our cups and everything else, and I hope you guys like it and stick around afterwards. So here we go.
Hey everybody, this is GunsInThe701.com's Badass of the Week, and I'm Mike. And as we do every week, we try to give you a little history on some badass out there that you might not have known about. This time, we're talking about Daniel Inouye. Born in 1924 in Honolulu Territory of Hawaii, his father, Hirito Inouye, was a jeweler who had immigrated to Hawaii from Japan as a child. His mother, Kame Inouye, was a homemaker, born on the island of Maui to Japanese immigrants. Now, both of Daniel's parents were Christian and met at the River Street Methodist Church in Honolulu. They were married in 1923. Now, this heritage makes Daniel a Nisi, or second-generation Japanese-American. Inouye grew up in a Bingham tract in a Chinese-American enclave in Honolulu. He was the oldest among 4 children, and as a child, he collected homing pigeons, which hatched from eggs given to him at an army base in Schofield Barracks in return for him cleaning the coops. As a teenager, he worked on the local beaches, teaching tourists how to surf. Inouye's parents raised him and his siblings with a mix of American and Japanese customs. His parents spoke English at home, but had their children attend a private Japanese language school in addition to public school. Inui dropped out of the Japanese school in 1939 because he disagreed with the instructor's anti-American rhetoric, and then focused his studies at President William McKinley High. Now, he intended to go to college and medical school after his planned 1942 graduation. Then Inui witnessed the attack of Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. The Japanese surprise attack brought the United States right into World War II. Now, being a volunteer first aid instructor with the Red Cross, Inui was called on by his supervisors to report to a Red Cross station set up at Lunaleo Elementary School. There, he attended to the civilian injured by anti-aircraft shells that had fallen onto the city. Now, after the United States declared war on Japan the next day, Inui took up a paid job from his Red Cross supervisor to work there as a medical aide. For the remainder of his senior year, Inui attended school during the day and worked at the Red Cross station at night. He graduated from McKinley High School in 1942. Now, although Inui wanted to join the armed forces after graduating, he did not possess the rights as a Japanese American. The United States Department of War had declared that all Japanese Americans were enemy aliens, which stipulated they could not volunteer or be drafted for military service. Inui then enrolled at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in September of 1942 as a pre-medical student with the goal of becoming a surgeon. In March of 1943, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt established the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, an all-Nisi combat unit. Inui applied and was initially turned down because his work at the Red Cross was deemed critical, but was inducted later that month. The unit was composed of over 2,500 Nisi from Hawaii and 800 from the mainland. Inui went with his unit in April to Camp Shelby in Mississippi for a 10-month training period. Now, while in Mississippi, the unit visited the Rohar War Relocation Center in Arkansas, where Inui witnessed the internment of Japanese Americans firsthand. The 442nd shipped off to Italy in May of 1944 after the conclusion of their training. Shortly before liberation of Rome, Inui was promoted to sergeant within the first 3 months of fighting in the Italian countryside north of Rome. The 442nd was then sent to eastern France, where they seized the towns of Bruges, Bellemont, and Bifontaine, all from the Germans. In late October, the regiment was transferred to the Vosges mountain regions in France, where they rescued 211 members of the 1st Battalion of the 141st Infantry Regiment, otherwise known as the Lost Battalion. Inui received a battlefield commission to second lieutenant for his actions, becoming the youngest officer in his regiment. Now, getting into his badassery. During the battle, a shot struck him in the chest directly above his heart, but the bullets were stopped by $2 silver that he happened to have stacked in his shirt pocket. He continued to carry those coins throughout the war in his shirt pocket as good luck charms, but lost them later on. Now, the 442nd spent the next several months near Nice, guarding the French-Italian border until early 1945, when they were called to northern Italy to assist with an assault on the German strongholds in the Apennine Mountains. On April 21st, 1945, Inui was grievously wounded while leading an assault on a heavily defended Colle Mostatolo Ridge near Santorizio, Italy. Now, the ridge served as a strong point of the German fortifications known as the Gothic Line, the last and most unyielding line of German defense works in Italy. Now, during a flanking maneuver against German machine gun nests, Inui was shot in the stomach from 40 yards away. Ignoring his wound, he proceeded with the attack and, together with the unit, destroyed the first 2 machine gun nests. Now, as his squad distracted the 3rd machine gunner, the injured Inui crawled slowly towards the final bunker and came within 10 yards. Now, as he prepared to toss a grenade, a German soldier fired a 30mm Schweichenbacher anti-personnel rifle grenade at Inui, striking him in the right elbow. Now, although it failed to detonate, the blunt force of the grenade, for the most part, amputated most of his right arm, all at the elbow. The nature of his injuries caused his arm muscles to involuntarily squeeze the grenade tightly via a reflex arc, preventing his arm from going limp and dropping the live grenade at his feet. Now, this injury left him disabled, in terrible pain, under fire with minimal cover, and staring at a live grenade clenched in a fist that suddenly did not belong to him anymore. Inui's platoon moved to his aid, but he shouted at them to keep back out of fear that his severed fist would involuntarily relax and drop the grenade, possibly hurting them. Now, as the Germans inside the bunker began reloading his rifle with regular full metal jacket ammunition to finish off Inouye pried the live hand grenade from his useless right hand with his left, tossing it into the bunker, killing the German. Then, stumbling to his feet, Inouye continued forward, killing at least one more German before sustaining his fifth and final wound of the day in his left leg. Inouye fell unconscious, but awoke to see his worried men of his platoon hovering over him. His only comment before being carried away was to gruffly order them to get back to their positions, saying nobody called off this war. By the end of the day, the ridge had fallen to the American control, without the loss of any soldiers in Inouye's platoon. The remainder of Inouye's mutilated right arm was later amputated at a field hospital without proper anesthesia, as he had been given too much morphine at the aid station, and it was feared that any more would lower his blood pressure enough to kill him. The war in Europe ended on May 8th, less than 3 weeks later. Shortly before the Japanese surrendered at the end of World War II in August of 1945, Inouye was shipped back to the United States to recover for 11 months at a rehabilitation center for wounded soldiers in Atlantic City, New Jersey. In mid-1946, Inouye was transferred to the Percy Jones Army Hospital in Battle Creek, Michigan, to continue with rehabilitation for 9 months. While recovering there, Inouye met future Republican Senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole. Bob Dole met him. He did. Now, Bob Dole was a fellow patient. The two became friends and would often play bridge together. Dole shared with Inouye his long-term plans to attend law school and become an attorney, and later run for the United States legislator and eventually United States Congress. With Inouye's plans to become a surgeon pretty much dashed due to his injuries, Dole's plan for a career in public service inspired Inouye to consider entering politics himself. Inouye ultimately beat Dole to Congress. Now, the two remained lifelong friends. In 2003, the hospital was renamed the Hart Dole Inouye Federal Center in honor of the two World War II veterans, as well as Democratic Senator Phil Hart, who had been a patient at the hospital after sustaining injuries on D-Day. Now, Inouye was honorably discharged with the rank of captain in May of 1947 after 20 months of rehabilitation. At the time, he was the recipient of the Bronze Star, Distinguished Service Cross, and 3 Purple Hearts. Many of his regiment believed that, were he not Japanese American, he would have been awarded the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military award. Inouye eventually received the Medal of Honor on June 21st, year 2000, from President Bill Clinton, along with 19 other Japanese American servicemen in the 442nd. Now, Inouye decided to study law, hoping that it would lead him to a political career. He enrolled at the University of Hawaii in Manoa in late of 1947 as a pre-law student majoring in government and economics. He relied on the financial benefits of the GI Bill to fund his education. When not in class, Inouye would volunteer at the Honolulu County Democratic Committee. He had been talked into joining the party by John A. Burns, a former police captain and future governor who had ties to the Japanese American community. Now, in between this time, he met a speech instructor named Margaret Awamar at the university, whom he married in 1948. After graduating in 1950, Inouye moved with his wife to Washington, D.C., so he could continue his studies at George Washington University Law School. While there, he volunteered at the Democratic National Committee, headquartered to gain more experience to bring back with him to Hawaii. Now, Inouye earned his JD degree in 2 years and moved back with his wife to Hawaii in late 1952. Inouye then spent the next year studying for the Hawaii bar exam and volunteering for the Democratic Party. After passing the bar exam in August 1953, Inouye was appointed assistant public prosecutor for the city and county of Honolulu by the city mayor and fellow Democrat John Wilson. At the urging of Burns, Inouye successfully ran for the Hawaii Territorial House of Representatives in November 1954's election, representing the 4th District. The election came to be known as the Hawaii Democratic Revolution of 1954. as the long-entrenched Republican control of Hawaii Territory legislature abruptly ended with the wake of Democratic candidates taking their seats. Now, Inouye was immediately elected majority leader. He served 2 terms there and elected to the Hawaii Territorial Senate in 1957. Midway through Inouye's first term in the territorial state, Hawaii achieved statehood. Now, he won the seat in the U.S. House of Representatives as Hawaii's first full member and took office in August 21st of 1959. The same date, Hawaii became a state. Prior to his death, Inouye announced that he planned to run for a record 10th term in 2016, when he would have been 92 years old. He also said, "I have told my staff and I have told my family that when the time comes when you question my sanity or question my ability to do the things physically or mentally, I don't want you to hesitate. Do everything to get me out of there, because I want to make certain the people of Hawaii get the best representation possible." Another reason I think this guy was super badass. Now, in 2012, Inouye began using a wheelchair to preserve his knees. He received an oxygen concentrator to aid his breathing, and in November of 2012, he made several trips to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center because of injuries. On December 17th, he died of complications to some injuries. His final words, "Aloha." Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid announced Inouye's death on the floor of the Senate, referring to Inouye as certainly one of the giants of the Senate. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell referred to Inouye as one of the finest senators in the United States history. Inouye's body laid in state at the United States Capitol Rotunda on December 20th, 2012. Quick rundown of some things. In 2007, the Citadel dedicated the Inouye Hall at the Citadel, South Carolina Army National Guard Marksmanship Center to Senator Inouye, who helped make the center possible. In May of 2013, Secretary of the Navy Ray Mambus announced the next Arleigh Burke-class destroyer would be named the U.S. Daniel Inouye DDG-118. The destroyer was officially christened at Bath Iron Works on June 22nd, 1919. In November 2013, the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association renamed its Trailblazing Award in honor of Inouye, honoring him with the Senator Daniel K. Inouye Trailblazing Award. In December 2013, the Advanced Technical Solar Telescope in Halakela Observatory on the Maui Island was renamed the Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope. The Hawaiian Air National Guard Daniel K. Inouye Fighter Squadron Operation and Aircraft Maintenance Facility was christened in 2014. Senator Daniel K. Inouye Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency building was named in 2015. And I could really speak for another 20 minutes on just the things named after this total badass. But let's get to the point. Daniel Ken Inouye at an early age showed that the belief in the American system is greater than any other calling. That's why I'm calling it once again, Daniel K. Inouye, 100% total American badass. Sources for this story from Wikipedia was U.S. Senate Daniel K. Inouye, a featured biography, Daniel K. Inouye, World War II U.S. Army Medal of Honor recipient. We thank everybody for tuning in for another episode of GunsIn701.com's Badass of the Week. We try to pick somebody every week and give you a little something for history. Don't forget about our podcast every Wednesday night on all your social media platforms, GunsIn701.com, at 6 p.m. Mountain Time and 7 p.m. Central Time. If you notice, we got that QR code up in the corner. Hey, if you like our show and you want to help us out, a couple bucks here or there, whatever, we would love to hear from you. You can scan on that, get right to that. Any little bit will help getting our studios up to par and keeping everything running. It's an ongoing thing, so we can always use your help. Also, don't forget to check out our store at GunsIn701.com, where you can also buy some of our merch and more. And, of course, well, you know, that stuff makes you look cool, so I don't care what anybody says. I think you look cool in it. Anyway, make sure you check that out. And tune in next week for our GunsIn701.com's Badass of the Week. Until then, I'm Mike, reminding you, as my friend Clay always says, keep your powder dry and stay safe, you bunch of badasses.
All right, good. There I am. Hey, guys.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Good segment, as usual.
GunsIn701.com. We're back again, of course, there. We were talking about Daniel K. Inouye, total badass, and yeah, pretty good one right there.
He definitely was. I got to rain on your parade a little bit, though, because me and history and gun support, right? He was an anti-gun senator, truly a bad one, especially in his later years. I mean,
we
he
deal with
even
that on a lot of old guys. I mean,
we do, but I'm not going to take away from his service. My goodness, lose your hand and say no, don't do it because I don't want the grenade to go off. So he still is a badass. But yeah, I just had to add that because
it is, and we've talked about it before. It's like it's like Chuck Yeager. Chuck Yeager. We talked about how he kept the first possible black astronaut from going up into space, and so he didn't like it. Well, that guy actually did go up into space 2 weeks ago. Dwight.
The guy that he tried to keep off of there. Wow, that's interesting.
He is now in the record books as the oldest American in flights in space. So there you go.
But overall, Mike, great job. I just love your segment. You've taken that to heights I've never thought of, and it's becoming one of the fastest growing ones. I think that's the one Chris Brownell is actually going to sponsor, and I'd love to have him there with American Steel. I got to get that all right. So I just kind of learned about what the name of his company was, but I think that'd be a fantastic sponsor because he's a solid conservative and a patriot. So
he's a good guy. Good guy.
Yes, he is. He is. Brian Warner, he says good show or good one again, Mike. And absolutely, I can't say enough about it. It was a fantastic one again. Eric just put in there, guys. That's what I was doing. It says lightning and thundering like crazy here. Just started raining. And yeah, we had a big storm moving in, and who knows what it's doing outside. I'm down. I'm like Joe Biden. I'm down here in my basement.
No, but you're awake.
I'm awake and alert. So anyway, quickly before we're going to wrap up, we got one more little thing we're going to talk about in the news announcements. I have to share this, guys, because it shows the grades from NRA. Rick Becker gets an A. These were supposed to be coming out Thursday. They came out actually last night. So Rick Becker does have an A. Alex Balez has an AQ. Guys, that means that he answered all the questions on the questionnaire, therefore the Q, with an A rating. And Julie got one too, but I don't believe her for 1 minute because everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. And the statewide, Kelly Armstrong gets an A+. That's no surprise. And we were talking about that last night. I'd like to know exactly why Rick only has an A and not an A+. It's kind of boggling to me because, you're not going to find anybody that's better. And then they've got all the state candidates coming up. If you want to look in North Dakota, Claire Corey has an A in District 42. District 30, Diane Larson. Although I don't like her, I'd say vote for Adam Rose. He at least gets an A with the Q because Diane Larson is horrible on other things. Jerry Klein, again, an A+, and he is good on that. Carissa Groth, from what I know of her, I think she'd make a better candidate in District 14. Paul Thomas has an A. I don't know that much about him in District 6 or his opponent. And then Mark Engett in District 2. Again, I don't know much about him. He is the endorsed candidate. And Robert Harms gets a B. So I guess if you have to go on that, you'd go with the guy that's got the A, right?
Right, yeah.
And I got just go check it out. But I did want to tell everybody that Rick and Kelly are the endorsed candidates in North Dakota for the U.S. House of Representatives and the governor. So just so everybody knows that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's quick go to this one because I think this is a great story. Well, not a great story, but great information. Quick, and in light of Memorial Day, we just got done celebrating Memorial Day. Tomorrow, I believe, was it May 30th? Is the traditional Memorial Day, or what was once called Decoration Day. But we should do a segment on that someday, Mike. Vance, just the whole origin of Memorial Day, and it was called Decoration Day, and how it come about. It didn't become Memorial Day officially as a federal holiday until 1972. Yep. So, what's sad is Memorial Day is it's a day to remember those that have fallen, right? Our soldiers. But leave it to the government to screw up something good. The VA, Veterans Administration, hosting lots of ceremonies across the country, right?
Yep.
But guess what is not welcome at VA-owned properties? Take a guess.
I'm going to say it's guns. Yeah.
Gun bans. At every
devices.
What's that?
Self-protection devices.
Self-protection. Yeah. They celebrate Second Amendment infringement, which is clearly not constitutional under the Constitution. And the Second Amendment is not legal, and they celebrate it with joy. They're happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to honor, except for, of course, law enforcement is excluded and military squadrons doing the, at the last rites doing the 21 gun salutes and things like that. But I think it's a big insult as to what they were doing there. I don't know. I'm gonna let you take it, Mike and Vance. I mean, you know how I feel about this. I think it's a bunch of crap.
Well,
we're honoring.
It's just a regulation too. It's not a law.
Yeah, it's
We're
just a
honoring
regulation.
fallen soldiers that have fought and died, paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms, and they're taking those very freedoms from us.
Yeah.
Any practice those freedoms while we're honoring them. That's absolutely absurd.
Kind of lost you there, Vance.
Yeah, we lost you there. Are you there, Vance? We can't hear you.
Marco. Yeah.
Hello, Marco Paul.
There we got you. There we got you.
I was saying they gather to honor those fallen soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms, and they won't let us practice those freedoms as we honor those soldiers.
Yeah.
And it says in here that the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs bureaucracy, with the full access of the government behind it, to require that we first surrender a fundamental right, is being arrogant and demeaning to the living and those, of course, that have passed, who never made it back, of course, to see the rights that they protected. The Second Amendment, if you don't have that, you don't have any of the others. And that's how it's all boiling down to. And once again, Clay said it right. It's not a law. It's one of those things. It's just like Clay, when you were talking about it's in the Republican platform in North Dakota for gun rights, but you had the big row about their big get together that was placed in a place that did not allow anybody to carry weapons.
Yeah.
Well, if I went, which I didn't, but you didn't go either. But if you did, well, I guarantee you'd still be carried. And that's the thing. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I have violated those kinds of prohibitions, especially in private buildings and things.
Mm-hmm.
I do it every time. I don't care. I really don't. I don't even care if there's a law against it. But here's the VA regulation 38 CFR 1.218 prohibit the carrying of firearms, either openly or concealed, explosives or other dangerous and deadly weapons, while on VA property, except for official purposes such as military funeral honors. Possession of firearms on any property under the charge and control of the VA is prohibited. Offenders may be subject to a fine and removal from the premise or arrest. I am so sick of regulations being treated as law. They are not law. Kiss my ass. The only thing they can arrest you for is they can come up and ask you to leave the premise.
Yeah. But I mean, on this one, is another situation where there's no fine on that because that's not a law.
But you'll love this. They keep telling you no person on the property shall carry firearms other than dangerous and deadly weapons. Penalty for possession carried either openly or concealed, whether loaded or unloaded, except by federal state enforcement officers on official business, $500. I'll go to court on that all day. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah. This is we saw it in 2020, big time. Regulations, guys, no laws, no mask laws, no clot shots. This was not law. This was regulation, but they treated it as law. I proudly disobeyed their regulations. I've walked on purpose in places where they had arrows on the floor in the opposite direction and stood more than 6 foot. Did not wear a mask once. Never wore one, except my one with all the holes in it. And I put it on because I got narked out by some little frickin' whiner in a committee meeting at the Capitol in Bismarck. I put it on there. I'm kidding. It had big holes. So I had Diane make it, and then I ripped it off.
It's like my underwear before I got married.
Yeah, so I just thought we should.
That goes right what you said earlier. Uneducated people don't understand the difference between regulations and laws, and I believe from the federal governments to our smaller local governments, they experimented or played with that during the whole COVID thing.
Absolutely, they did.
Make uneducated people believe a regulation is something they absolutely have to follow.
No, and they let these health departments make regs and treated them as law. No, you know what? I'd have looked at that. If anybody actually would have come up to me and tried to enforce things on me, I was carrying. I first would have warned them that they had no right to do it, and if they'd have tried anything, I'd have shot them. I had every intent on doing it because I was in the right. I was not going to submit to tyranny, and I mean that. I truly do. And I am not going to take a tyrant's enforcement of a regulation over my actual God-given rights. It's not going to happen. I've actually, China virus era made me even worse. It has pushed me to that edge that I'm not willing. I'm not submitting. I'm not going to do it.
Well, it really pushed a lot of, again, going back to uneducated people that don't understand the difference between laws and mandates and regulations.
Rights versus privilege.
You got to know what you're talking about, because the government these days is trying to get as much over on us as they possibly can, and making people believe regulations are something they absolutely have to follow. And like you said, like treating them as laws when they're not. It's their way of getting easy access and control to us without actually having to go through the work of passing bills.
Yeah, and it's control and compliance and essentially conditioning. I always say it's the triple C, the CCC, conditioning, control, and compliance. And that's what that's about. And I can't be conditioned. I'm not that guy. But so anyway, I thought this was a great article. And Mike, when we kind of chatted because we were running low on time, and I said, I asked him if he wanted to do it, especially so close to Memorial Day and the traditional Memorial Day. There'll still be a lot of people visiting these VA cemeteries. Yeah. I can tell you, don't care. I have broke that regulation many times visiting graves. I don't care, and I never will, and I will continue to do so. So let's have it, boys. If you catch me and you know my vehicle and I'm there, go ahead, approach me. Let's see how that goes.
I carry concealed, and it doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't. Nobody needs to know what I have on me. Nobody needs to ask me questions about what I have on me. That's
I didn't carry openly. I carry concealed, but I've done it many, many times at the cemeteries of my fallen relatives that lost their lives during war. So,
and I support people's right to open carry if they want to. I just choose not to, but I support their right to.
Depends on where I'm at, but yeah, same thing. So, all right. Well, with that, what do we got going on? What do you think, Mike?
Well, we've got the 701's got some stuff going on tomorrow. 701 Nation, Jamie, live stream Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. North Dakota Republican Party endorsed candidate for Congress, Alex Ballas. Of course, we're also looking at flags that trigger leftists. Also looking at North Dakota Democrat governor candidate's Second Amendment platform. We've got the Celebrity Zeros of the Week and Happy Ending Story. It's also going to have a special guest coming on June 6th at 8 p.m. Central Time, which will be announced tomorrow night on Jimmy's show. That's 701 Nation right here.
Great. Sounds good. I don't know. I know we talked about having Alex on tomorrow night, but maybe that didn't pan out. So we'll let him go with that. By the way, Guns in the 701 starting in June. So that'll be next week, guys.
I think June 6th.
June 5th for us.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I know. I'm south of the border, so there.
East River. Anyway, June 5th, we will be going to our new time at 7:00 p.m. Mountain, 8:00 Central. Again, next week, if you tune in at 6:00 p.m. Mountain, we won't be here. You're going to have to give it an hour. And I wish we'd have had that extra hour today, honestly. So, so all the way through summer, we're going to be going at 7 Mountain, 8 Central, just so everybody's aware of that. Again, we're not doing anything on June 1st at Mandan Sporting Goods. He's not ready, so he's going to have a grand opening, hopefully in about 2 weeks. We'll let us know when that happens, and we will be there. Guns and 701 will be there at his grand opening and broadcasting live. We're not going to do like a full 2-hour show or anything. We'll just probably pop in and out of there at different times, and might even have a few things going on, maybe some gift certificates, some gear if you're there, and just have a lot of fun with it. We want to help him celebrate as one of our sponsors. And then, of course, Friday, don't want to forget about that. This coming Friday, Mitchell in the Morning, Mike and I will be joining Todd, and once again, Guns in the 701 on Mitchell in the Morning, 8:40 a.m. Central, 7:40 Mountain. And I know one thing I'm going to have a happy ending of the week as well. I've been trying to do that for Armed Citizen. I still have called a happy ending too. And we got a couple other things we're going to talk about, don't we, Mike, or not?
Yeah, we're going to talk about, of course, special rights. Gun rights have been given to police, but not us.
Yep.
Also talking about the Second Amendment Supreme Court decisions coming down soon. There are some that are
Big
not
ones.
exactly, they could be really big. And we're also going to talk about some other stuff as well. And like I said, have your things going on.
We cram a lot of things in our 20 minutes on there. And when the Twins finally lose and baseball season's over and unimportant sports are being taken up by our time slot, we'll be back on at 7:15 and 8:15 respectively.
They're third in the AL Central right now. So
I know they're doing really good.
Well, they're all right. They're hanging in there. But when it gets the crunch time, we'll see how they do.
They'll choke. That's what Minnesota does. Anyway, choke. Even especially their NFL team. I think they're one of the few teams that has never won a Super Bowl, but they've been there several times. So.
That's all right. I came from Cincinnati. We know all about that.
I guess it's better to be the Cubs fan. They've won 2 World Series in 100 and some years. So
yeah, but they'll never let you forget those 2 World Series. They won.
Dolphins only perfect. Dolphins, where I'm from, only perfect season football team in the history of the NFL.
Oh, there you go.
1972.
Is that even still in
the only team?
Is that still America? Is that still America?
It was when they were undefeated.
All righty, guys. I was kind of hoping to see we were going to maybe quickly be able to talk about a verdict today coming out of New York, but evidently they didn't reach one, at least not before I checked. But we'll see what happens. It don't matter. We know what's going to happen there, and maybe we'll talk about it next week. But otherwise, I don't have much else. Again, tune in tomorrow night, 701 Nation. Jamie's going to be on there, and another great show. I'll be listening. I have no doubt, Jamie. But I got some projects going on, so I might be out there. And we got another fence we're going to try to pop in here before we start haying. Hey, we got grass this year. Mike was up here. It's green as can be, and we're actually going to be starting some haying here probably in the next 2 weeks, I think. So.
Yeah, you're going to be knee deep in it, and so I wish I could be up there because I've got to work here. Actually, I might send Jack up there. He didn't want to come back really.
There, I'll put him to work. I don't blame him. I mean, it's fun over here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, we had a lot of
fun. And I think Vance is still planning. I know Hawk was talking about coming up this fall. Hope you all can make it up here. And the parsonage is open. Mike and Jack stayed there, so
yeah, we had a good time.
Up and running. All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate all the support. What's that?
Hawk's about to take off to 14 different countries.
I know he is. Yeah, he's a traveler now. All right. Yeah. But again, thanks to our great sponsors, Lauer Auto Repair down there on South Washington. You can get a hold of them, 701-258-6308. They can fix up your vehicle, no problem. We got a little bit lax on running our commercials tonight, but again, thanks to our great sponsors and our headline sponsors. Again, Bloodline Kinetics does a great job over there. I can't wait to get our ARs, me and Jamie. And, of course, Mandan Sporting Goods. There you go. There they are. Thanks, everybody, for sponsoring. We can't do it without you, and we look forward to having you on with us for a long time, and we got a possibility of one more coming on here soon. So I guess that's all I got, everybody.
That's all I got for tonight, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, want to remind everybody to what? Keep your powder dry. Yeah. Guys, go send some freedom seeds downrange. Get your kids out there. Do some shooting and keep this country free. Thanks to our veterans. And Vance, if you'll take us out with a prayer tonight, I think the country could use one.
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the freedoms that we still enjoy in this country. And we pray for our representatives, Lord, from our local government to our federal government, to be guided by you, Lord. We ask that you open their hearts to you and to your word, to guide their every decision that they make for the great people of this nation. And Lord, we ask that you protect our soldiers afar and at home, Lord. And Father God, we just ask that you continue to bless this show and bring in people so that we can help educate in the ways that this country was founded and needs to go. And Lord, we love you and we thank you for the opportunities you give us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. With that, everybody, we're going to sign off on this episode, and we thank everyone for tuning in. We'll be back here Friday, 8:40 Central, 7:40 Mountain, and then don't forget, tomorrow night, Jamie with 701 Nation, I believe, at the same time, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central.
Correct.
See y'all next week. God bless. And like I said, keep your powder dry.